a motion to open?
Motion to open.
Second.
I have a second. Was there a second?
Yes, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, good evening, everybody. This is a meeting of the Finance Committee. Today is Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021. Tonight's meeting is being recorded live on local channel 18 and also the Acushnet YouTube channel. Tonight, we're going to have some budget hearings. We have the Board of Assessors, EMA, Conservation, and the Planning Department here. So what we're going to do is we'll start in the order that they're listed. So we have the Board of Assessors going first, and we have Ms. Kelly Koska, our Principal Assessor, here to discuss her budget. Hi, Kelly. Kelly, your audio is not on. There you go.
Hello, everybody. As I was introduced, I'm Kelly Koska. My chairman of the board, Mark Cinerizio, is also on with us. Normally, I just go through each line item, line item by line item, and give a little explanation, and then I take questions at the end. Would you like that format also today?
Yes, that would work.
Okay,
good.
excellent. Okay. We were instructed, of course, by the Finance Committee and Accounting Department to level fund salaries. So we did, except for that of the union personnel, which is the 1.5%. So the first line item is a level funded for the Board of Assessors stipend at $7,900. The salary assistant assessor, $63,574. The salary administrative assistant, $42,558. There is a decrease from last year. I don't know if all of you know, but the former administrative assistant, Sue Pickard, has retired after 15 years, and I have there's a new administrative assistant, Nicole. So of course, since she is at the lesser years of service, so it's the lesser rate of pay. Salaries overtime, like we were level funded, we were actually zeroed last year. I'm requesting $500 to cover Nicole's attending meetings, as she is a union employee and gets paid hourly. Longevity, $1,000. That's contractual for my 20-year anniversary, if you can believe it, in August of 2021. Going down to the expenditures, R&M office equipment, that was zeroed. That was for maintenance of a typewriter, which we actually still use in the office for historical cards, but we haven't really had the need for it, so it's zeroed. Triennial certification, we asked for the same amount of money, $26,000. We're still in the 3-year contract with Patriot Properties, which ends through fiscal 22. Management consulting, there's an increase there of the $19,500. What was asked last year, the $12,500, as historically has been asked for, is for Patriot Properties to go out and do the cyclical inspections, the every 10-year cycle, where we're trying to hit every parcel in town or improvement as per the Department of Revenue. The additional funds are due to the fact that the Department of Revenue now does not want to accept net book value for the utilities for personal property, so they want full and fair cash value. With that being said, obviously it's going to be additional funds to have Patriot Property do that aspect of the evaluation. So that's the increase you see there. It'll be on 3 accounts, 3 of the personal property accounts, Hopkinton, LNG, Eversource. Those are the accounts being mentioned there. Communication and advertising, zeroed. Training and testing, I'm requesting $500. We had 0 this year. Of course, with the pandemic, not much was offered. And I really would like Nicole to get some training, as she is new, and myself for recertification of my Massachusetts Assessor Association status. Camel licensing, again, is a contract term, $11,500. Plot plans, that's for the update of the tax maps, $1,100. Registry and probate, zeroed as was in fiscal 21. Office supplies, $500, same as last year. And software expense, $200. That was a new contract term with a company called CAI Technologies for our digitized maps, and to have to link with GIS, which is Muni Mapper through the state.
That was
Travel,
2,000, wasn't it?
2,000 from 1,200, yep,
Okay, thank you.
okay. And travel zeroed, and dues and subscriptions, an increase because dues and subscriptions of membership and so forth have gone up, so the request went up $200. That's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Kelly. Any members have any questions for Kelly?
Yes, Kelly, I have one question. It's not related directly to to your budget. Last week we discussed new growth, and this year they said you're the one that gives the figure as far as an estimate of what new growth figure would be.
That is correct.
And it went down from, first of all, to 200,000 from 250 of last year. And-
It was 200,000 last year as well.
Oh, I
I'm
thought,
usually very prudent and side on the air of caution when I give the new growth figure. Even though this year we had a substantial new growth in
Right.
FY21,
it
that was
over
unexpected.
700,000. Yes, in receipts.
That was really unexpected. It was about $400,000, which resulted in the accounts that I was speaking about, which were the utility accounts. They're preparing for net book value not to be accepted. So their value went up about $23 million, which resulted in about 400,000 of new growth, which was really off the normal. We normally average, if you look at our 5-year span, around the $300,000 mark. I side on the air of caution with the 200,000 because as this number is plugged into the budget, if the monies aren't created through new growth, they have to come from another revenue source, and I wouldn't recommend that. So that's why I usually am very prudent and frugal when I give that number, because I know it's something that I definitely can attain with the data that I have when I'm giving this number in March, translating to what is actuality in the fall.
Has it ever dropped below 300,000 in recent history?
It has not. I want to say, I can't give an exact timeline, but at least over I'm going to say the past at least 5 fiscal years, it has averaged about the $300,000 mark.
Well, would a figure of 250,000 be more in line? Would you dare go there, or you want to err on the side of prudence?
Well, only this year I do,
I
because
would
in
say.
comparison of last year, when I looked at our new permits and what's going to bring in value, which will be obviously new construction. Last year, we had 23 new homes in calendar 19, which impacted FY21 budgets. For FY22, which was calendar 20, we had 10 new home permits.
Oh,
So
you-
right, that's
you-
quite a
you drop.
decrease. Also, new lots or new lot splits also bring in revenue. In FY21, we had 2 bigger subdivisions, which were about 35 new lots. FY22, I'm looking at about maybe at best 8 to 9 new lots. With that being said, that's why I really wanted to be very frugal and prudent in giving that number, because I know it's a number that's plugged into budgets and used. And if for whatever reason that can't be attained, then the town of Acushnet, in my opinion, is left trying to find those monies through other ways. And obviously probably would be taxation. And I would think we would want to avoid that.
Okay, thank you for your explanation.
Can I say one thing, please? As the chair on that, Kelly has done a phenomenal job. We appreciate everything she's done. And like everybody else, we all should give her a raise, but the money's tight. We sure appreciate
I
it.
agree with you.
Either that or advice, right, Mark? That's good
Yep.
too.
Absolutely.
That's cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for presenting your budget tonight, Kelly. Greatly
Mhm.
appreciated. We're not going to be voting on budgets tonight, but if we have any questions before we vote on it in the next coming weeks, we'll be in touch. And thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I have just one question. I know that we were instructed for this salary personnel, they weren't going to follow suit with the 1.5%. Is that a possibility that we may see that as the contractual employees, as the union employees did, or that's still undetermined?
Yeah, so Kelly, the selectmen are still trying to figure out what they want to put in for a COLA for everyone. So once we
Okay.
have that number, it'll get put in across the board for everyone.
Okay, so it's not off the table is what you're trying to say, Julie,
Right.
and for them to look at. So we can ask for it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right,
If I may, and I'm gonna turn my hat around from assessor to planning board. I don't have anything on planning board tonight because I just got home from work. I don't know if Julie, are you gonna bring anything up on the planning board?
I mean, we can talk about it in generalities, and I know we've talked about what we're looking to do for the planner position, but we can also put that off and talk about it later too if you want. It's whatever you're comfortable
Well,
with.
I don't have anything ready. I apologize for that. As all you folks know, in the finance committee, we lost Henry and my secretary Donna had heart problems, so everything's in my lap. This is all new to me. I just want to give me next time for your next meetings, put me on the agenda and we'll take it there.
Sure thing, Mike. Sure thing. No
Thank you. I appreciate it.
problem.
And I can't thank Kelly enough for everything she's done. I appreciate everything. You guys, God bless you. I don't know how you do this every year, but God bless you.
9 years left, Mark. That's what I have, 9 years.
Thank you
So
for your
it's okay
time.
for me to log off. Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening. I appreciate your time.
And I
Thank
will
you.
also log off. Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Good night.
Night.
Night, thank you, Kelly.
Okay, next budget presentation will be
Did I shut it off?
for the EMA, and Mr. Jerry Bergeron,
Where's the
You-
X on the top?
you have the floor. I think he's got his audio off.
Yeah, you're on mute, Jerry.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Good evening. Like I said before the meeting started, this is my first time with you, with the ladies and gentlemen of the Finance Committee. Almost 30 years that I've been EMA director, I have never been to the Finance Committee in regards to my budget. I've always prepared my budget and given it to the town administrator, and he usually took care of it. So just bear with me. I did talk with Julie and with Mel, and they wanted a level funded budget, which that's exactly what I did this year. Obviously, the equipment that we have received through EMA has all been through either grants. Well, they've been all through grants. There's 2 different grants out there, and the deputy director is very instrumental in writing grants. He's phenomenal with it. He can really do a job in dazzle them. We have been lucky in the last, maybe I would say approximately 8-9 years. The town has received from FEMA and MEMA over $50,000 worth of equipment. So we've been doing very, very well, and it's equipment that the town don't have to buy. And as you know, EMA is a volunteer group that saves the town considerable amount of money, and we do give you many, many, many hours at no cost. There was only a couple of things on my budget that I would like to see increased this year. Something that is beyond my control is the internet, which is Comcast keeps going up every year, and it seems that I don't budget enough for it. I mean, I budget for whatever. I do a fixed budget for what the price is that they charge me for the whole year. I'd like to increase that by $200. Otherwise than that, salaries will stay the same. Energy stays the same. I usually have enough money for that, repair and maintenance of the building. And as you know, the budget that we have right now maintains the buildings, the equipment that we have. And, I think at $17,800, the town gets one heck of a bargain to run what we run and do what we do. I mean, we give over 900 hours or better than that a year. I can't give you the figures right now because we haven't done it, but I believe it's in my town report. I gonna go with a level budget and we'll work from there. If I have to transfer money to pay something out of a line item, we can do that. I talked with Julie and with Mel, and we usually take care of the bills. So I don't know what else to tell you.
Does anybody
Any
have any
questions?
questions for Mr. Bergeron? Well, it's a pretty straightforward budget, Mr. Bergeron. Looks good. Thank you for presenting that tonight. And we won't be voting on the budget tonight. If we have any questions for you, we'll be in touch before we take a vote. So thank you.
Yep,
Thanks.
no problem.
And if I can just add into, I know I've said this before when we've talked about some of the other departments, but EMA, what a great group of staff we have there. They're volunteers, but they've been doing so much this year with the pandemic, helping us out with the testing. And we're so grateful to have them all. So just what a wonderful job they've done this year. And like Jerry said, what a value that you get for such little money. So just wanted to mention that. We appreciate you guys. You've done so much.
Thank you, Kel. Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
Okay, so if there's no other questions from Mr. Bergeron, we're going to have the Conservation Department present their budget, and Miss Marilee Kelly, the Conservation Agent, is here this evening to discuss that.
Hi, everybody. My budget is mostly level funded with the exception of the stormwater MS4 permit, which has gone up to $12,000 from $8,500 because we need to pay a contractor to help us do some of this work that's required for the MS4 permit. Everything else, like I said, is level funded since last year. So salaries remain the same pretty much. Overtime, we dropped some overtime from 850 to 450 because Joanne doesn't do as many meetings as she used to. And we just decided that was a good place to save some money. We have longevity at 1276, energy at 550, which is actually water for the garden, for the pollinator garden. The MS4 permit, communications and advertising is at 250. That covers projects for the town. When the town does projects, we need to advertise that, and special projects like grant programs that need advertising, that sort of thing. Training and testing is $1,500, and we use that to train the commission members and myself for MAC courses, Mass Association of Conservation Commissioners. And every year, most of the commission goes to the annual conference, so that covers that. Most of that is covered from that. And then there's a clothing allowance and a mileage allowance of $200 each because I use my own car. And that's it.
Marilee, just so you know, we have the communications at 200 and the training and testing as 1,200. I think that's the numbers that you just read were the ones from the year before that we had cut.
Okay, 1,200 and 200. Okay, we can get by with that. Does anybody have questions?
Well, it looks like there's no questions, Marilee, so thank you for presenting your budget. If any questions do come up prior to us voting, we will be in touch, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a great night.
You
Thank
too.
you.
I have a question for Kathy. So I know you sent the email, so we don't have any minutes for tonight, right? That's
I think
fine.
I should have a couple.
That's fine. That's no worries. Well, we'll do them next time. No big deal. That's certainly okay. Does anybody have any old business to discuss? I guess with regards to new business, it would basically be to discuss, our next few meetings, like who's coming in, who we talking to. Kathy, do we have any word on that?
No, I had reached out to Julie. I know she's like super busy, so I wasn't exactly sure who was ready to come in. On the second grouping, I had like the animal control officer, building, and the town clerk, so I didn't know if they were, ready for me to reach out to them.
The clerk is on vacation this week, so she won't be available. She's out of the country, I think. Good for her.
I think.
Well, I just know she doesn't have internet access, so she's not available. She's not reachable.
So, so animal control and
Animal control and building should be fine.
building.
The other one was the Board of Selectmen budgets. Are you gonna save that for the end, or?
Yeah, I know the selectmen, they're meeting next week, and then they're to touch upon a couple of budgets that you guys have already done, actually. And then they're trying to do one the following week, the 16th, and go through like a lot of the bigger ones so that you guys have an opportunity to get to them as well. So I would think for the 17th that we'll be ready to do like the selectmen budgets and, possibly say like fire. I think fire EMS will be of the big ones. They'll be one of the first ones that you guys should definitely be able to go through because their union contract goes through next year. So a lot of their stuff is already set in place. So I would think, yeah, for the 17th, the selectmen's budget should be good. And I would say fire EMS. I think the following week, the 24th, we're scheduling the school. So then I would say maybe the 31st would be police, DPW, and anyone else that we missed in the meantime. If that works.
If those dates will work for them. Is there anyone else, or is that it for the
I got-
departments?
You have police in there, right?
Yeah, police and DPW would be that last week, the 31st.
Oh, what about golf?
Golf, you could do golf next week. I know the selectmen are planning to have them at their meeting on Tuesday, so Wednesday they should be good next week if you want to add golf to that, the 10th.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
That works. And then the clerk, I guess, wherever she fits in, if you can't get in touch with her for next, I would say next week would probably be good for her, but if you can't get in touch with her, we won't be able to schedule it.
And planning's coming back, correct?
Yeah, planning should be coming back.
Okay, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I've a suggestion that could we get an oversight, an overview rather of all the grants that we've been receiving, with COVID, some of the FEMA grants, as far as how that money is being spent. Because I raised some issues last, week, and I think that I was really in the dark as far as what was going on with some of the, the COVID, initiatives, and how the money was being spent. So therefore, I'm only getting part of a picture. So is that possible of how, to give us an oversight as far as how that money is being spent and what for?
Julie, you think that's a possibility to get that info?
I mean, my office is
No.
keeping a pretty extensive breakdown. We have it, when I created a fund for it, I have it separated by categories like salaries and testing for fire EMS and building updates. And so I have it pretty broken down, but I also have it broken down by invoice and department due to reporting to get the actual money. I'm not 100% updated on it right now with everything else going on, but I could definitely give you detailed munis reports to show you everything. It's a lot from the past year, but I can definitely do that for you.
Can it be generalized or, into shorter versions, as a, in bullet type of, presentation?
Absolutely, we can get as detailed or as simple as you want. I can
Yeah, don't wanna
work
get
on
down
that
to
and
to the nickels and dimes, but.
yeah, no, of course, yeah, I can definitely give you a general idea, and then if you want it more detailed, we can go. I don't want to overwhelm anybody because it is a lot, but I can give you what I think would be good, and if you want a little bit more, we can go a little bit more. Is that good?
Correct. Yeah,
And also keep in mind that any big purchases have to be approved by the Board of Selectmen before it can even be purchased. So that's also good that nothing's getting through without their knowledge.
now, do we receive any administrative fees, costs, that come back to the town, for, say, your services, and we're reimbursed, you follow my?
Yeah, so the
Well,
only
administrative,
the
yeah.
fire chief, if Julie, tell me, I'm sorry, I don't know where I can jump in, but the fire chief did get a stipend, but besides that, there's no one really getting paid. The only people that definitely getting paid out of that grant is when they're doing the COVID testing, that's 100% covered. And if people are out due to COVID, that also gets covered.
Yep. No, the point was, we used to call it administrative overhead. That we say a certain percentage of the grant that we used to, we used to dispense to the communities would be able to use to, say, offset the cost of operating payrolls, bookkeeping, keeping the lights on, if you know what I meant.
Yeah, so I know for FEMA, that's a typical thing. And I think it hasn't really come up for the FEMA application yet because it's still ongoing. It's very different from, the typical FEMA applications that we've had in the past where your typical FEMA is we had a hurricane, and it was a single event that lasted 24 hours. So it's done. And then you can look back and fill out all your stuff. And you're right, you get to recoup certain administrative costs for like filling out all the grant application work. I think they'll still have that, but I don't think, and Mel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've really gone into how we can get reimbursed for that yet because it's still ongoing. Like everything is still ongoing for FEMA. For CARES, I'm pretty sure that we can recoup it, but we haven't done it yet because for CARES, we have a finite amount of grant money and we're trying to save it for other costs like the testing. So, I mean, at the end, if we had money left, I'm sure we could go back and recoup administrative costs, but we're hoping that we can spend the rest of the money on other things like testing.
Thank you. But what's the total, sometimes it would be like a 10% figure, and I was just wondering what your total costs, what your total allocation has been, and what 10% would look at. That's the figure we used to use. Sometimes 20.
Yeah. I like that. I don't know for FEMA what they're going to come out with. They haven't really said too much that I've been on. I mean, there's been, Mel can tell you, there's been a lot of time spent tracking and putting all the application together. And again, typically it's a quick thing, you're compiling, different from a few different departments for a hurricane and gathering that together and inputting it. It's been quite extensive since this has been going on for a long time. They've had many filings. So I don't have a solid number for you, but I'm sure when we get to the end point, they'll let us know and we can update you then.
Yeah. Okay, I just had a thought because one thing was just to pass on. I used to distribute, FEMA money as well as some emergency assistance money, both. That was one of my many jobs in the past. And one thing used to be drive me nuts was the after everything is over, it would be subject to audits. And spending a great deal of my time with audit resolutions. And so, that's why I was asking how it's being spent, so we could avoid any type of, audit questions. Because usually the communities would have to come up with the money, to pay if there's any positive findings in the audits. So I just, of course, I used to try to avoid that as much as I could. In fact, was mostly successful at it. But anyway, that's just here or there. But I just wanted to toss that out under new business, and that's what prompted me to ask the questions before, last week. Even though is a question of how specific I was, because I didn't know how FEMA money was being spent. It was sort of supplementing our present budgets. So I'm still in the dark on that.
Yeah, and I think Mel can tell you about this too, but in terms of an audit, because this is ongoing, every time that we have to file for FEMA and for CARES, they have to fill out such specific information. Like Mel said, she has an extensive spreadsheet going, because they don't just want to know that you bought PPE, they want to know you bought how many masks on each invoice and how many gloves. And it's a lot of very fine detail, and she has to respond, if it's something that isn't easy to follow, if you bought like lumber or something, for instance, like she has to explain, well, this was purchased for this because we had to build, the ramp because of whatever, she has to give an explanation for everything, and they've been very detailed on that as the process has gone on. I think because they don't want to end up with like a massive audit pile to go through at the end, they've kind of done it throughout. So yeah, I think that's helped, but it's definitely been a lot on the accounting office that they've had to continually kind of follow up with all this stuff with FEMA and with the state for CARES.
I had to keep a lawyer on staff just for that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anything else, John?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Julie, I got a quick question for you. Are we going to have a reserve fund transfer next week to cover any deficit in the snow removal budget?
Oh, well, I was just gonna
No.
mention the snow, actually.
Okay.
Sorry not to jump in, Julie.
No.
I spoke to Kathy from DPW last week, just because I wanted to keep up to date if they were gonna be negative. And she actually let me know, because the last time when I spoke to you guys were at 29,000. We're now at 2,000. So we spent a lot on salt, and there was some payroll and contractors for snow, but she said that she does have more bills coming, so they definitely will be negative, but she hasn't given me a specific number.
Okay.
But we don't need to do a reserve fund transfer for it. This is one of the accounts that we are legally allowed to deficit spend. Melissa, as the accountant, has to notify you that we're going to be in a deficit. There were old rules that got changed, I want to say in like 2015 or 2017. Before that, the rules were that like you actually had to go to the finance committee and the board of selectmen and get approval to deficit spend. And now they've taken that away, and they just say, you have to give notification, but we don't need a reserve fund transfer if we have a deficit. Like last year we lucked out, we had no deficit, but every other year we typically do, and we will just put that on town meeting as an article to cover whatever the cost is for the deficit on free cash.
Okay, so next week.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question for Julie.
Yes.
Have you had any guidance or any type of information coming from the state as far as how the money would be spent and what for? The bill that's pending in Congress, for the aid to cities and towns, the federal bill, which is.
Yeah, no, I haven't had any like concrete information yet on what that would mean for us. We're still kind of waiting in the winds too, but we would definitely appreciate anything that they want to give.
Right, because in our so-called crisis, that would be very, very helpful. I hope they speed it along.
Okay, so next week, we'll be meeting with Animal Control, Building Department, and Golf Department. All
And
right,
planning, right?
Oh,
planning as well.
Yeah, I thought he said he was coming back.
Is he coming back next week? Was Mr. Centerizio?
That's what I thought he said.
Yeah, I heard the same.
yeah,
Okay,
he should
all
be
right.
ready for next week.
Okay, so planning will be in that group as well. Okay, sounds good. Anybody else have any business to discuss tonight before we adjourn?
Julie, just one question. On when the school committee has their budget ready, are we able to get their budget, the line items like we do for everything else?
You should be able to. I can ask. They should have it.
Yeah, I'd like to get it, and if possible, like not that day of, if we can somehow get it when it's ready, so we can take a look at it. But I would like to see that.
Agreed.
So is that, should I say something that I wanted, or how?
No, I mean, I can let Kristen Flynn know, the
Okay.
school business manager. I mean, I think they like to present it the way that they typically do, where they show you like the changes.
Which is fine. Yeah, that's fine. But
We've been getting it the last few years, haven't we? Yeah, the line items, we've been getting that the last few years.
I do
I don't
remember.
know if you got like how when we give you year to date from Munis, or even like the spreadsheet that I give you guys in the booklets that we give, where ours show every line for every department. I don't know that they've ever given like, this is the planned budget with every line item. I think like, because their budget is so massive, they typically, pinpoint and say, well, these are the ones that are changing. They'll definitely at least have that. I don't know like that. I'm not sure that they have it in like a full budget form, but I can ask Kristen. She'll let me know.
I mean, I know I used to get it for Old Colony all the time when I used to sit in on those meetings. So
I will ask.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I could always go pick it up at the school when I drop off my daughter for school. So that's easier.
Get enough copies for everyone.
I can do that. I'll even deliver. I'll return the favor for Julie and Bell, whoever dropped off the binder at my house.
Oh, that was Lisa.
Yeah, that's my assistant, Lisa Leonard. She's amazing. She knows all of your houses by heart now, and she just goes and drops it off. It's great.
Lucky that Mike and I live so close together.
That's right.
There's somebody that lives on a street that gets tricky, and she knows the trick to it now, where like it gets cut off and it goes around. So yeah, that's you, Kathy.
Yeah, Lambert
Yeah.
Street.
It's lucky I don't have the dog anymore. They used to chase people.
She'd have me drop off that one.
Adjourn.
Mr. St. Jean, you have any questions?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sure you're eagerly anticipating retaking the chair position soon. I know that.
I'm not so sure about that.
Okay.
That's why we'll stay the way we are for a little
Well,
while.
hopefully we get to meet in person soon. Because it would be
That would
nice
be
to see
great.
everybody in person.
Be a lot more functional than this type of a meeting.
Absolutely. You never know when your internet connection's gonna go down or flutter, and then you can't hear. It happened tonight a little bit with mine. So, but everything went pretty smooth.
Only
So-
2 years that I was pushing for remote participation. And here we are, everyone's using it.
Yeah.
That's right. You were the first one, Eric.
But back then, we thought of it as a one-off, not a,
Well, Eric, hopefully you
Venue.
bought some stock in Zoom.
that's what it was.
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah. If there's no other business, do we have a motion and a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, tonight's meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody, and a good week, and we'll see everybody next week.
Good
Good night, everybody.